tonight we're gonna make 2-ingredient pizza crust with the toppings that we want to have tonight. So over here, all I have for the crust is the Greek plain yogurt and self-rising flour. So we're gonna mix 1.5 cups of self-rising flour with 1 cup of whole Greek yogurt. And then we're gonna bake it, and then I'm gonna shred some cheese. I've got some pepperoni, I've got a pepper, an onion, and some pizza sauce. But we're gonna make this real simple tonight. So I put 1.5 cups of self-rising flour in, and I'm gonna use this for 1 cup measure. And I also have preheated my oven to 500. My son makes, my oldest, who lives in New York, makes the 2-ingredient bagels all the time. So I decided we're going to give these a try. Level this off. There we go. Make a well in the middle, kind of. And we're just going to drop this in. And that's why this is so nice. There we go. I can get it all in there. And we're just going to go ahead and give this a nice whisk, and we're going to make it so it's like a shaggy dough. And then we're going to knead it until the dough all comes together. Now when they say a shaggy dough, this is what they mean. So it's not all come together yet. We're going to pour this out. And I've floured my counter, and we're just going to knead it and get all of this to come together. It does come together, and it comes together pretty nicely and pretty quickly. The dough's not really sticky. I was really surprised with how well it really cleaned everything up. I haven't cleaned my counter. I have preheated the oven to 500, and this is an old pizza. I've got a pizza stone too, but I just didn't get it out. I thought we would try this first. And it says to grease it. Now you can either roll this out, or you can sit here and stretch it. I think I'm gonna stretch it, and we'll see how we get. So I did get out a rolling pin, and I then put it on here and squished it into place. How's that? And now we're gonna bake it. It said 5 to 7 minutes at 500 degrees. Bring it out, top it, and put it back in the oven for another 5 to 7 minutes. So after 5 to 7 minutes, it's nice and browned underneath. I don't know if you saw that. My crust isn't the most beautiful. I have a feeling it gets better after you've done this several times. And we're gonna go ahead, and I think this one I'm only gonna do pepperoni and cheese. This is our test pizza, and I'll let you know how we like it. So we're gonna just put the sauce on. And I did contemplate, because I've been known to do this with pizza crust, since the bottom's already browned, of flipping it over so that it doesn't get too brown, but I think we'll be fine. Put some cheese down so it's got something to adhere to. And hopefully, after we do a couple of these, they'll look better. Grab the pepperoni. Oh, that's together. And these are just the big sandwich ones. I like them, so that's why I buy these. some more cheese, because cheese does make everything better. And it's a pizza. Can't have a pizza without cheese, in my opinion. I know you can, but here we go. And we will put this back in the oven, and because that bottom is so brown, I am going to really watch it. It said another 5 to 7. I don't know, and my oven likes to burn things, so I'm going to be very careful with it. And here we go. I just wanted to make sure that it didn't get overcooked, and it didn't. And now we're just going to go ahead and cut this pizza. And it seems like it's all cooked. This just gives you another option if you can't make a pizza crust. Or you don't want to buy one. So this is the second crust. Second one went easier. As I said, once you've done this in all things, the second one was easier. So I've also figured out, and I had this in the back of my head as I was making it. Oh, I didn't bake this one yet. So I'm going to go ahead and put the sauce on, and then we're going to bake it. Did not mean to do that. So you have to bake this first. I got ahead of myself. So we'll go ahead. I was just excited that I got it to turn out. And I did eat a piece of just the pepperoni, and it's actually really good. Now for this one, though, I'm going to switch. I was going to do pepper and onion and pepperoni. Well, here's the thing. You want it to cook for 20 some minutes with the pepper and the onion. So I would have to, in all fairness, pre-saute the peppers and onions. So I don't even want to mess with it. So I found some bacon that I had, bacon bits. I have some mushrooms. I still have some pepperoni and cheese. But we're going to bake this for the 5 to 7 minutes. And we'll see how this one turns out since I tried to screw it up. So it's now been pre-cooked. We're going to add a little bit of cheese. I don't think this will change anything. But it's also nice to know if I messed it up, I can let you know not to do that. But yes, you should par-cook the crust. I forgot to turn the timer off. There we go. Now we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to do pepperoni on the bottom. We're going to add just a little bit of bacon, just because I have it. There's not too much, except I really don't care for sausage on a pizza. But if it's a supreme or something, I'll still eat it. So there's not too much you can put on a pizza that I won't eat. I love pizza. Over the years, I've worked in numerous pizza places, especially as a teenager. Now, like I said, if I had fresh mushrooms, I would probably saute the mushrooms, the onions, and the peppers, and then add it to this, because it's not going to if you put it in the oven with those type of toppings on, they're not going to cook, because it's only going to be in for 5 to 7 minutes. Basically, you want everything cooked and ready to eat. And all you're really doing with this is melting the cheese. And I did grade this cheese. I have a package of mozzarella in the refrigerator, but I wanted the cheese to melt. And I'm so picky when it comes to the block cheese versus the already shredded, just because it doesn't melt well. All right, now I take that back. Chihuahua cheese, shredded, melts wonderful. But everything else I don't think shreds or melts very well. All right, so this is gonna go back in the oven for another 5 to 7 minutes. So round 2. And I did pull this one a few minutes, or a minute and a half early. This one got a little bit darker on the crust than the other one. The bottom looks really good. I think this was a success. And the nice thing is you can easily make this on a night. I came home from work and made this. And that's my only thing about pizza is, you know, the dough's got to rise and everything else. And no, this isn't a real thick crust or anything. My husband likes a thinner crust. So, I mean, this isn't thin, don't get me wrong. But the nice thing about it is it's crispy. And it did, I mean, it rose, don't get me wrong. It rose. And that's because of the Greek yogurt. But anyways, thanks for joining me tonight. I tried it so you didn't have to if you were worried, because I was. And that's probably why I hadn't made it yet. But like I said, I knew my son makes the bagels out of it, so I figured it had to be good, because that kid is a snob when it comes to bagels. So thanks for joining me. So tonight I am going to do sausage and sauerkraut, some roasted potatoes, and some sourdough bread on the side. Nothing special, but it sounded good, and I think I've just been wanting some sauerkraut. So that's where dinner came into play this week. Now I'm going to cook the sausage and sauerkraut separate, and then the potatoes I'm going to roast in the oven. And then when I build my bowl, I'm going to put them all together. It's just how I like to eat them, but I do it separate in case other people don't want to. So I've got a loaf of sourdough, an onion, a package of smoked sausage. Use the kind you like. That's my biggest tip with smoked sausage. If you try to skimp and get a cheaper brand, if you don't like it, you won't eat it. So buy the more expensive if it's the one you like. A jar of sauerkraut. This is one of the ones I do really like. I picked up the smaller bag of potatoes, and we're going to use all of them. I picked up a bag a couple weeks ago of regular russet potatoes, and they went bad really, really quick. So I made the conscious effort. I'm going to buy the smaller bags. They might cost a little bit more unless I'm making mashed potatoes or I'm making a potato soup, because we're not going to eat that many. So it's going to go to waste anyway. So I might as well spend a little bit more, get the potatoes, and then we don't waste as much. And then for a seasoning, I'm just going to use the buttery garlic and herb, and I'll probably use a little bit of avocado oil. Change of plans. I'm also adding in a yellow pepper. I happen to have a 3-pack, and we only used 1 pepper last night, so I'm going to throw pepper and onion into here, and I'm going to cut up the potatoes. So I've got the potatoes quartered. If they were bigger, I went ahead and halved, and really, I made them even smaller. I've got peppers and onions in here. We're going to add in maybe a 1/4 cup of water. And I'm gonna microwave these for about 5 minutes just to get them started, and then we're gonna put them in a cast iron and shove them in the oven. I've microwaved the potatoes now for about 6 or 7 minutes. We're gonna add, I've got my cast iron here is hot with oil in it, and I'm gonna just put enough on the potatoes. And then we're going to use our Kinder's buttery garlic and herb. Open this, which I never can do. There we go. And give these a good mix. I have drained the water that I had put in here. And the potatoes are a little bit soft, not overly. Give another little twist around the bowl. And without burning myself. Might not be able to do that. There we go. There we go. We're going to add that in. You can hear it sizzling. And it's a lot of potatoes and onions and peppers. So it's not going to completely roast, but they have already been cooked somewhat. And we're going to put this in a 450-degree oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. Now I'm heating this pan up. And we're going to put just a little bit of oil in here. Don't need very much. And I've taken the sausages and I have just sliced them in. I cut the entire link in half, and then I cut each half into 3 slices, and then went and did them in half. And we're just going to line this pan, and we're going to get a good sear on both sides. And then all we're going to do is add in the sauerkraut. Now you could also cook some onions in this as well, but I went ahead and did the onions and peppers in with the potatoes. Once you've got a good char, but a browning on them, you'll just flip them over, you'll smell them, and they have, it's just a smell that I know when I've got a nice brown on them. How's that? See, nice brown. And then we'll let this side go for just a few minutes. This isn't a step you have to do, but the flavor that it builds on this, it makes it worth it. And now that I've got a brown on the other side, we're just going to open up our jar. Now I'm not going to use all of this. I also don't want all the liquid that's in here. I do want some of it. I burned myself too. Okay, I have a little bit over half a jar, and that's all we're going to put in here. There is some liquid in here. I actually dumped a little bit out. I was getting too much. And now we're going to turn this back up to about a medium, and we're going to let some of that juice cook down and off. And we still have about 15 minutes on the potatoes. So I've pulled the potatoes and they're done. And the liquid that I got is cooked down. So dinner's done. I did say I was going to use sourdough tonight. Well, I lied. My husband will have sourdough. My mom and I on Tuesday went to my aunt and uncle's in Greenwood, which is it's south of Indianapolis. And you see, I just made a mess. And when we came back, we drove through downtown Indianapolis. When we drove through downtown Indianapolis, we stopped at a deli that has been there for a very long time. I would have to look to see actually how long it's been there. But when we stopped, we picked up rye bread. So that is fresh made rye bread from the other day. And I absolutely love it. This is actually a meal you could get at Shapiro's, but we also picked up some corned beef and some rye bread, and we split a piece of New York cheesecake. But it's a New York style deli, and it's been around forever, and I grew up going there as a kid. So I'm gonna have my rye bread, I've got my sausage, I've got the potatoes, and the sauerkraut. And I'm gonna put the sauerkraut right on top of the potatoes. So that's dinner tonight. Thanks for joining me. Tonight, I'm going to make a copycat Wendy's chili. I grew up eating Wendy's chili, and I happen to really like it still to this day. I'm not going to use all of this. I'm just going to use probably about half of the ground beef. This is a one batch, but you could easily cut this in half. I mean, just do half of this. But I'm going to go ahead and do all of it. I want to have chili for lunches this week, or chili thrown in the freezer so that, you know, on an easy night I pick up some hot dogs and we have chili to go on them. And this is going to make a thick chili. And I like a thick chili. My husband likes a thinner chili, so compromise. But I've got the ground beef. I've got cumin, onion powder, garlic powder, chili powder, smoked paprika, salt, pepper. You could also buy one of those chili packs and use that. I've got dark red kidney beans, pinto beans, fire roasted diced tomatoes, just because I wanted to add those rather than regular. 4 8-ounce cans of tomato sauce. So if you've got bigger ones, you know, the 15 point whatever, that's fine. A can of green chilies. Now, it did not call for an onion or a pepper. I want an onion and a pepper, and I know that is in that, but this was the recipe that I liked, and it had the better reviews on it. So we're going to give this a try. I've got the ground beef cooking, and all I'm doing is adding in the diced peppers, the diced pepper and the onion, so we can get started cooking with this. And then we'll get the grease strained as soon as it gets all cooked together. I've got the grease drained, and at this point we're just going to do a huge dump of all the ingredients. And that's why I got out one of the big pots, because this is a lot. So that was all 4 cans of beans, 2 pinto and 2 kidney bean. And that's one of those things. You can put whatever type of beans you want in this. This is both cans of fire roasted tomatoes. And as I said, use what you have on the shelf. And then all that tomato sauce goes in. Now, if you want a thinner chili, but still want to make this one, I would say use some beef broth, or just regular broth, vegetable, even chicken will work, or even some more water in it. It'll just thin it down. And the last can is the green chilies. And that's all of that. And then we're just going to give it a real good stir. Like I said, I made a lot of chili. This recipe is very easy to have. I just wanted the full batch tonight. I absolutely love chili, and it's one of my favorite things to freeze. So if I make a batch of chili, I never half batch it. All right. So here goes the seasonings. And as I said, they have packages of chili seasoning out there. And use it. There's no problem with that, especially if you don't want to go out and spend the money. I had the seasoning, so to me this is just easier. Pepper. Now this is not in it, but we like smoked paprika, so. And remember, this is a big pot of chili. Chili powder. The other thing I do is once this all heats together, I go back and taste it and see if it's where we want it. Cumin. Garlic powder. Onion powder. And it says 1 cup of water. We're going to hold off on the water just a little bit and see, and like I said, that might be where I add the beef stock. And we'll get this all heated up. I did add a tablespoon of sugar just to cut through some of the tomato harshness, and I added a 1/2 cup of beef stock. Remember, I said something about a compromise. My husband likes it thinner and I like it thicker. I'm sure this is still thick. And I'm just making a plain grilled cheese to go with it. There's so many things you can do with chili that there's no sense, and if you're going to cook it, cook a lot and then freeze it into whatever you'll use it with. I used to make chili cheese burritos with the thicker chili. The thicker chili is also great for chili cheese fries or chili cheese tots, or just a bowl of warm chili on a cold rainy night. We're having freezing rain tonight, so this sounded really good to me. Anyways, thanks for joining me.